You're listening to the Teaching Toolbox with Brittany and Ellie. Join them as they talk all things middle school.
Hey, Brittany. I was wondering, have you ever used something called Reader's Theater?
I actually have a couple of times in both ELA and social studies class. The kids really seem to enjoy it.
Well, we're going to talk about something similar today with our special guest, Deb Baldwin. She's a retired teacher and director and has a new book out about radio theater and the classroom.
Oh, cool. I can't wait.
Welcome to the Teaching Toolbox. I'm Ellie, and I'm here with my friend Brittany.
Hello.
And we're joined today by another fellow former educator, Deb Baldwin.
Hey, everyone.
And today we're going to explore radio theater and Deb's new book. Let's pull the curtain and hit the lights.
We are so glad you're here today, Deb. Can you please give us some background on yourself?
Oh, I'd be happy to. I am, as you said, a retired drama teacher. I taught for 38 years. I directed about 350 plays and musicals with adults and children alike. I've created curriculum and drama from second grade through 12th. Primarily, I focused on middle school and lower high school, so like 9th and 10th grade. I am a professional actress as well. I have a bachelor's degree in performing arts, acting from Stevens College a million years ago. And I have my master's in education in arts, creative arts learning from the Lesley College in Massachusetts. That gives you kind of an idea where I'm coming from. I'm still teaching, except through my products, which I just love. I think it's the coolest thing I've ever run onto. And those of us that do this go, oh, yeah, we get to do all the fun stuff.
Now, where exactly did you teach and in what types of schools were you?
I taught primarily in the Midwest. So I taught in Columbia, Missouri for 20 years off and on. I taught English for 3 years and then stayed home with our daughters for 11. And then I went back in and I taught a pre-elective drama class, and I saw 400 kids a year about every 25 days. That's when this radio theater began. And I taught that and worked there. Then my husband and I said, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we moved to Colorado, way up in the mountains at Estes Park, Colorado. And we just loved it. And my husband and I both worked down below. So we worked at Boulder and places like that. Tim is an instrumental music teacher. So he went into music instead of theater. And I went into theater instead of music. So we really balance each other well. And primarily, so I've taught to go back, I taught mostly in Columbia, Missouri, and mostly in Colorado.
Go Colorado.
I know it.
So why did you decide to leave the classroom?
Well, my husband, I married an older man. He's 4 years older than I am, and he'd retired already. Then my last year nearly just really ruined my health. I was directing 4 full-length musicals with kids in middle school and high school at the same time. And I was directing 3 junior musicals with younger kids all at the same time, because this is in a huge homeschool enrichment program in Longmont, Colorado. And it just nearly did me in. And I said, I just can't do this anymore. And as much as I loved it, I was so burned out. And I knew I was. I knew this was time to do something different. And so then I retired. And then my husband said, well, now what are you going to do? Because he knows me very well. And I said, well, I don't know. I could try this or that. I tried a couple things. And the doors were slammed basically in my face. Like, yeah, that is not what you're going to do. You're not going to direct anymore. And you're not going to teach anymore. No. And so I thought, maybe I should look into this Teachers Pay Teachers thing that I've had forever. And so I did. I basically the first year wasn't very serious. And then in 2018, it took off. And I'm an overachiever. So I thought, well, let's try to do 100 products in 1 year. Well, I made, 107. And you guys, these are those products, these are those resources I never got to teach, or I always thought we needed, and no one ever made them. So I said, well, I'll just start making those. And so to date now, I have 400 products. I've probably sold, I don't know, thousands. And more importantly, I've reached all kinds of teachers and students that may never have experienced theater because they either didn't have the training in it, or the money to do it in their school, or it just wasn't viable for their school situation. And that's what I love the most, is all these people I've reached,
It is very exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you have a new book out that describes your experiences using radio theater in your classroom and the successes you've had with it in boosting student engagement. For how many years did you use radio theater again?
Well, when I was in Columbia, Missouri, and I taught in that middle school pre-elective program, I was turning out seven times. So I don't know, 75 kids, 3 classes, 7 times a year, a performance at the end of each one, because for a lot of students, that's what they think of theater. Theater is, we do a play, we do a play, we do a play. Well, that is so wearing on a creative person. So I went, well, how else can I do it? I tried some readers theater. I tried a conglomeration of things. These are the things we studied. And finally I went, you know what? I wonder about radio theater, because I ran on to radio theater when I was about 16 years old. And I used to listen to radio shows out of Chicago way late at night. And I'm not a night owl. So I'm like really late for me, which was 11, going because I wanted to hear it. Well, then many years later, since I was a voiceover actress, I started doing voices and using theater there. Then I went to the classroom and I went, well, I wonder if this would work with these students, because these are kids who a lot of them have never had any theater at all. And they're really afraid of it. They think, oh, well, we have to memorize. Well, not always do you have to memorize, And so I found the Museum of Television and Radio in California, and I begged them to give me some scripts if they had any, and they sent me some, and it was the start of it. Oh my gosh, this works so well. This really works on kids that are reluctant to do any kind of reading or performing. And they stand, as you know, with the script in their hand. I stand on stage and I direct them, somewhat like a choir director. And I went, oh my gosh, this really works. It worked well for my students with learning challenges. Paris came in and would help these students say their one line or make the sound effects or run the music. And it was this amazing experience to watch kids that maybe would have said, well, I didn't get to play the lead. Well, but this is so, when you get to do the sound of the train, or you get to do the sound of the horse galloping, and that's important to the story, suddenly you're important, and no one's ever noticed you before. And that's kind of how I became engaged with it. And then over time, I just kept refining it. And then about 3 years ago, I said, I think it's time to provide this out for other teachers. So that's when I started in on the book. Long story to it, how it became a book. First, it was a course and but it's really best as a book. It is 182 pages worth of everything that's in my brain about radio theater.
That's awesome.
The first 9 chapters, I think, are about history of radio theater, the history of sound effects, amplification. That's a big one if people want to amplify, where to find the scripts, how to direct radio theater because it is different. And that includes a link of demonstration of me showing you the hand signals of how you use them. So the kids understand, oh, now I say my line. Oh, now we need to be quiet. It includes links to videos so you can see actually what radio theater looks like. And also hear it. They can listen to Superman, and they can watch adults and children perform it so they get an idea of how it looks. And then the last chapter is my actual unit. And it's a unit I've had, since I was in Columbia, Missouri 1 million years ago. And I've just developed it. And it's 3 weeks long. A teacher can take it in the classroom and they can just follow it day by day. And then at the end of that, then they will put on their own performance. And that's what I'm trying to do, is help people see how you can use your classroom. But with that, really what it is drama integration. We're just integrating drama in a different way. As I said, it's so effective and it's unusual. There are a lot of people that don't know it and get it confused with readers theater. And it's not the same, though similar, right? But if you talk to your grandparents and great-grandparents, they remember radio shows. And even some students who have seen things on television or in movies and say, oh, yeah, I know that from Annie. In Annie, they'd have a radio show. Oh, yes, they know that.
Yeah.
But I just packed it full of everything I know, including games and warm-ups and teacher scripts and reflections on each chapter and rationale. And oh my gosh, you guys, everything you need, I put in there.
Well, I'm going to have you back up just a moment. I've mentioned Readers Theater and you've mentioned it as well. How are they similar or different?
Readers Theater is when you take a story that's been developed into a script, and you hold the papers and normally the script, and you normally sit on stools, maybe, or chairs, and you stand when your line comes up. if it's done correctly, you speak directly out above what would be an audience. You never look at the other actors at all. You're on your own. There's no sound effects. There's no music. Now, radio theater is all about the production value. So now it's as though we were on the radio. So you might have microphones if your school owns them, or you can make your own mock stage prop microphones if you wanted to, or just put 3 chairs out there and say, those are microphones. The kids come up to the microphone. They speak on the microphone, and then they go back to their seat and sit down. In between, there's going to be sound effects. There might be commercials. There's going to be an announcer or 2, and there's going to be music throughout. It's very easy to involve everybody in it. And that's why I'm such a proponent to it. So there's the differences. I hope that helped.
Mhm.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
I think I was doing maybe a mix of the two.
You could be.
I did have a script, and my kids were standing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
They were acting it out, and so they were performing it for their classmates, sort of.
Right.
We didn't really have an audience.
Right.
We didn't have sound effects. We didn't have a mic or anything like that.
Right. Right.
It wasn't just like them just saying their lines. They were acting it out and getting very into their roles.
Mm-hmm. That's good. This works especially well, I believe, with about 4th grade and up. Middle school kids really love it because it's something generally they haven't heard about. So one of my products that sells really well is the monkey's paw. Do you remember the short story, The Monkey's Paw? It's so scary. I have an advantage because my husband was an instrumental music teacher. So he can help me develop the music for these. So Tim has either written them or he's created the sounds for me. And the monkey's paw script is just plain scary. I mean, the kids just love it. And then I had a script of my own that a friend of mine said, you really need to offer this to people. And it's called Bow Wow Blues. And it's for middle school. And it's about these ridiculous robbers and how they're racing back to Chicago. And you think they're racing back to Chicago to hide out. But the truth is the boss wants to get home to his pet Pomeranian Penny. And that's why he's racing home. Not so much about the money because he's kind of a doofus. So see, it's really fun. But on the other hand, I have Things Could Always Be Worse, which is a Jewish folk tale. And I've adapted it as a play and a reader's play theater and as a radio script, which is fun for people to do for younger kids. The Brave Little Tailor is another one. People probably in about 4th grade are performing. But you could take this as young as you wanted to, so long as everybody understands what it is.
Yeah.
And what kids do, they really are engaged in getting to speak on a microphone. That is a big deal. To go home and say, I spoke on a microphone today. I've never even heard my voice before, except on video of themselves recorded on a camera.
You mentioned the fact that everybody seems to feel included, no matter what, if they're doing a sound effect or that type of thing. Can you give us a few other benefits of using the radio theater in the classroom?
Well, to me, it's kind of obvious. It strengthens your reading, your speaking, your listening skills. There might even be some writing involved. It sort of depends on how the teacher uses it. Cooperative learning, creative problem solving, and everybody works everything out together. So let's say we don't have the sound we need for like a train. Well, that's an easy one, but something like the whirling wind. Okay, how are we going to get that sound? Well, we only have, a stick here and a drum. So what happens is it becomes everybody's project. So everybody starts to look at it differently instead of just, this is my part, this is all I do. And because if you do floor directing, which is what I did, and I stand right up there on the stage and direct them. They feel so secure. So you're going to see kids come out of their shell more than they ever have before for 2 reasons. They have the script in front of them. They practiced it numerous times, and you're right there to cue them when to speak. And all those things work together to make a wonderful experience for them. But primarily, I would say for someone who's never done this before, reading, speaking, listening, cooperative learning, boop, right off the top.
That's awesome. Can you give an example of how you would use radio theater in social studies or language arts?
I will. There's a chapter in the book about drama integration and how to use it in social studies, science, and language arts. Now, what I did is I wouldn't have been able to do this a year ago. I didn't know quite how to tell people to use it exactly. I mean, I know how I would do it, but I thought, how should I do this? Well, we have this thing called AI now. I go into Chat GPT, and I did this just to show people in the book how easy it's going to be for them. You will not believe it. You go in and you put in your prompts. I need a radio theater script about the beginning of the Civil War. I need 10 characters. I need to have 5 sound effects. I need music cues, and it needs to be about 10 minutes long. And I go through and I show you how to do it. Now, this was the first example. Okay, then I gave it a different prompt. Now it's fleshed it out more. I gave it a third prompt and I fleshed it out more. And I show them, this is an example of how you do it. In total, it probably took 10 minutes. Which means you could do that then with almost any subject. Maybe you're introducing a math concept they've never had. It's so clever. You can say to AI, yeah, no, I need this. I need you to flesh out these characters more. I need a couple of them to be grumpy, or I need some of them to be silly. And it will develop it for you, and you can say it again. Nope, try it again. And it is remarkably helpful for this. I wouldn't recommend people do entire scripts this way because our creativity is super important to the development of it. Like, I know what works and I know what doesn't work. And I can always tell when people are inexperienced, their scripts are wordy and pedantic and too much verbiage. And you have to think about, our audience trying to listen to this. They don't want to listen to you go on too long. They want to hear the banter between characters. So I have one in there for social studies on, I think it's the beginning, a Civil War in particular, a particular war in the Civil War. I have one for science. And I have one using a fairy tale to show you how you can develop those. And you guys know, you just tell it, I need it for grade level 4. I need it for reluctant readers in grade 7. And it will adjust it for you. It's tremendous. I was so surprised because at first I was like, oh, AI, blech, who wants that? Here we go again. Just another thing to hurt the teachers and make it harder on us. But I found it to be a really good friend for me. And I can take it and do it very quickly. So let's say you wanted to do something for Monday. Honestly, on Sunday night, you could put that in, just prompt it what you want and watch it unfold. You will not believe it. And if you don't think it has enough cues like sound and music, just tell it. Say, I need more cues, or people can honestly, people come to me and say, will you take this and develop it into a script? So, the one about the kids climb up in a tree and then there's time travel, and do you know the book I'm talking about? You'll think of it. There's time travel, and then when they come out of the tree, they're in a different place. Well, I developed that for a group of 5th graders in Columbia, Missouri, and they just loved it. They put all their kids together.
Is it a Magic Treehouse one?
Magic Treehouse. There it is. Yeah, the Magic Treehouse, the Revolutionary War, maybe.
Okay.
And, that was so fun. But I'm very willing to do this for people, provided not too many ask me too fast. So that's how I would suggest people do it. You don't need to work so hard. Also, there is in this chapter, one of the chapters, I gave you a PDF of how to take any story and develop it into a radio play. So you don't have to do the AI stuff. You can go straight to the story and look at how I did it and go, okay, so I need to line it up like this, and I need to do, and it's there.
So if I wanted to do something for math, for example, I could start with the AI maybe, but then also take it and look at your guide or look at the different things in the book and get something pretty finalized.
Oh, yes. And I know teachers are perfectionists. The thing about theater is we experiment a lot and we try things that didn't quite work. Okay, well, so long as you don't tell the kids, they are not going to know that wasn't quite what you were looking for, that you were close, But once I ran onto AI, I was like, this is marvelous help in that respect.
So all of this information is in this wonderful book that is now published, and it's called We're Live, Radio Theater 101. And you have told us all about the different chapters and how we can get started. Is there anything else you want to add about the book that we maybe didn't already mention?
Once you purchase it, and I would suggest people get the paperback or the hardback I'm kind of tough on books, so probably I would start with the paperback. On the other hand, some people want the hardback. I mean, yes, you can get the Kindle version. That's fine, but I don't think you can't write in your Kindle. I would buy the paperback version, and I would just start in. And what you'll find is there's so much packed in there that it's almost staggering. People will say, I just can't believe this. Well, it's 38 years of pulling all that information together.
You've got a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a lot up there. So we all know what works and what doesn't. And we're open-minded, trying new stuff like AI. I would just really take the time to reflect. If we purchase it, there's, as I said, there's reflection sheet at the end of each chapter. It gives you a chance to kind of step back and look at it and go, okay, I need to do this differently next time, or I would try this story next time instead. So you can, like a diary or a journal, you can just take notes as you go through it. But it is my hope that people will begin to use radio theater just like they have readers theater. They just need somebody like me crazy enough to go, I think I can teach you how to do this. And you will not believe how much you all enjoy it. You just won't believe it. You will just say, oh, this is so fun. You will, because you're involved in it too. You know, you're not just standing back in agony watching them struggle through a script. You know, you're right in there with them.
Well, your joy and excitement for it is contagious. So
Absolutely.
So can you share where people can find you?
The easiest place to find me, I think, is through my blog, which is dramamamaspeaks.com. Mama is spelled differently. Sorry about that. MOMMA. And I'm sure you'll have that information for people. You can find me there on my blog, which has all kinds of information. I'm on Instagram under the same name. The book is now listed under Deb Baldwin author. I'm on Facebook twice, so Drama Mama Speaks. And then I also have a theater teacher Facebook group. I have a website, and you know, like you guys know, if I need it, I have it. I'm everywhere.
Right.
But the best place I think for people to find me is either through my store on Teachers Be Teachers at Drama Mama Speaks, or to find me through the blog. I think that's the best way, personally.
Well, that's great. Yes, we will definitely link all those places in our show notes so that everybody can find you. Thank you, Deb. I'm sure our listeners will want to grab a copy of your book and see how to integrate radio theater into their lessons to help with engagement and storytelling, help students gain confidence, build in differentiation, and more. It sounds absolutely fabulous.
Well, thank you.
Yes, it does.
I did want to mention, because I forgot, that it's available in Amazon, and it should be available by now in other bookstores like Barnes & Noble online and things like that. But for sure, I know you can find Amazon, and people are always welcome to email me, and I will help you. I will help you find it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It's been really great having you. We're Live Radio Theater 101 is definitely a tool you'll want to add to your teaching toolbox. Gleaning advice from a 38-year veteran teacher. Grab it today by going to the show notes, and we'll catch you later.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
You just listened to the Teaching Toolbox. Follow them on your favorite platform for more episodes and share it with a friend.